The itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain. And the itsy bitsy spider went up the spout again.
Let me introduce you to Bo Miles, a unique and likable guy. Everyday life, friends and family makes up the artist's dream.
Here we are, another episode of the artistry of I am he who shall not be named. I am Bo Miles, first of his name, the Warrior's King. Man, those freaking Game of Thrones was fire. Game of Thrones was fire. Anyone who has not seen or ears have not heard should definitely check it out. Now, the reason why I started out with that little nursery rhyme is because that nursery rhyme, I've heard it however many times, right? Thousands of times over my lifetime. I could break down and cry if I ended on a rebound. Right? So I've heard it thousands of times, but it was around this time last year. I want to say it was like this time last year. Matter of fact, it was probably around the fall. It was before October because I thought about it, right? I was talking with one of my workers and I was training them how to load the trucks, right? And I'm training them and, we're just trading stories. We're trading war stories. We're outlaws on the rise, real, because I despise, look at my eyes. We trading war stories. So we're trading stories and I think maybe the next day it hits me that like, I'm constantly searching, right? But I still haven't found what I'm looking for. So I'm out there constantly searching, right? We're digging for gold. And the environment may change, the weather may change, but the fact that we're digging, that's the only thing that we can control. So when we go to that nursery rhyme, it talks about the spider looking to achieve a goal, right? He wants to go up the water spout. But then comes some type of hindrance. Then comes opposition and wash the spider out. Right? Not because of his control, the sun comes out and dries up all the rain. Right? So those two elements that what shut him down and what gave him the ability to do it again was not under his control, but his control was like, I'm going to go up that spout again. Now, if it doesn't rain, like now, if let's say it rains every however many days. So in the period that it's not raining, look, he go up and down, or she can go up and down as much as they like. But when it rains, it pours. It ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Do, do, do. right? So it came to me like, yo, I mean, that's what you're doing, right? So you just got to stay consistent. It doesn't matter if it rains, like, yo, all right, if it rains and you get washed out or you can't move that day, like, yo, that's fine. But each day that you are allowed to move, like, yo, just keep moving. Because if you keep moving, eventually it's not going to rain, and that opportunity for you to go up the spout again will come. So I preface with that because a part of me didn't want to record today. And I usually just go with that. Like, yo, if I don't feel like recording, I don't record. And remember, we're talking about consistency with the itsy bitsy spider. Now, under whatever circumstance that I cannot record, well, then I cannot record. But it's about just being consistent. Just keep. And man, there's a good thing. I'm going to learn it. It's from 1090 Jake, right? So I'm going to, it's about how your thoughts and your habits and your words. So I think it's your thoughts become words, and then your words become habits, and then your habits become action. Or it's along that line. And, this is early 1090 Jake. I'm rocking with y'all rocking with me, right? Look, man, how can you not love just everybody, right? What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that is just too little love, right? But it just enforces or reinforces that consistency and just the commitment. It's not even about consistency. It's about commitment. Commitment to your vision, commitment to yourself, right? Because that commitment is going to govern consistency as it needs to be, right? What you're really doing is just making that commitment. So, like I said, I didn't feel like recording. It's a huge family tragedy that struck, but I'm like, is it that tragedy, or is it just me looking for any reason not to do something? Because I'm not seeing the results that I want, right? Because I'm not seeing what I want to see. So I'm going to use any type of excuse that I can get my hands on to not go up that water spout on a dry, sunny day. A lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, right? So that's why, I'm like, nah, I gotta keep going. I gotta keep going. I even went to work, and, one of the guys like, yo, why are you even here? And it's like, I have to be here, now, if something comes up and I can't be there, well then, all right. It's not about, look, we're just going to keep going until you just fall down and die. Like, no, that's not it, right? But when you're feeling down and you're feeling whatever, and then you start to come up with all these excuses. Like, so I've been doing, I think I started last week, I started doing my push-ups again, right? So I did like 100 a day. And, man, I'm waiting for this freaking sub to expire on this female streamer. Like, yo, I no longer want to get any notifications about you streaming. Somebody brought me a sub, and I'm gracious for that sub. But yeah, I'm done. I'm done with her. But I started doing my push-ups again, and I was doing 100 push-ups a day. So this was last week, 100 a day, and however many pull-ups. So I was just able to do one pull-up, right? So 100 push-ups and 1 pull-up. So then I'm like, all right, this week I'm going to increase. So I'm doing 120 push-ups and however many pull-ups, right? So I'm up to 2. And yesterday I think I did 1.8, right? So if you look at the bar, you're saying, okay, all the way down versus all the way up is 1, all the way down. Halfway is half, right? I almost made it to 2. So that's why I'm like 1.8. So I don't really count it as 2, right? But I want to get to where I can do 2 pull-ups, right? So today, like I said, I didn't want to record. I didn't want to do my push-ups. And I remember just my body, like everything. An excuse is always there for you. An excuse is always there. And it's up to us to realize, like, all right, it's just an excuse because, like, boom, like I said, like, yo, I had, it's a real serious tragedy, but like, yo, my body, it hurts, right? From these 100 push-ups every day and these trying to do as many pull-ups, it's like, man, my body hurts. So I'm trying to come up with every reason, a rationale. Look, man, you need to take some time off. Look, why don't you just give them less? And it's like, man, nah, I got it. So I dropped down and I did my first 20, my first twizzy. I gave him my first twizzy and it was hard. It was like, jeez. And I'm like, all right, well, we got 1 on the board, right? So every twizzy is 1. And I'm like, all right, got 1, 6 more, right? 6 more. So then I broke it up between my 2 trucks because I have 2 trucks that I load. So just 3. So I give them 3 on one, give them 3 on each truck, right? So I'm like, all right, gave them 1 on this truck. Let me give them 1 on the other truck. And it's like, all right, well, that's a third of the way down. So then, give them 2 on this truck. Like, that's more than half of the way done. Give them 2 on the next truck. Now you only got to give them 1 more. You only got to give each truck just 1 more, right? Let's just look. If you need to go ahead and take 30 minutes, regroup. Let your muscles kind of, get back to 1. And we started back at 1. Yeah, like a dream come true, 2. Right? So, I'm like, all right. So I gave him, I did my 120. I'm going to do my pull-ups, which, I was about to say pull up. But look, man, I might crack 2 today. I might crack 2. Now, I did hit 2 Monday, but it wasn't back-to-back, okay? It wasn't back-to-back. It was just 1, and then I tried to do 2, but I didn't. And then I waited a little bit, maybe 45 minutes, and I gave him 2, right? So, but I just want to do like 1, 2. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But, it's like, look, man, you can't, all these excuses are always around us. Excuses are always around us for us to not do something. So like I said, like, I didn't want to, I'm studying this new thing. So people that's close to me, they know that drawing, like, that is something that I've always wanted to be able to do, was to draw. But I've never, I've never had that ability to, and I would say, because I feel like if you can move some type of limb or if you can have a pencil or a pen or anything in your hand to where you can create a line, right, followed up by another line, then you can draw, right? So can you draw a perfect circle? That's up for debate. But can you draw an approximate circle? Yeah, right? So can I draw an approximate of things, and I would say, yeah, no matter what it is. So I think no matter what someone asked me to draw, I think if I drew it, you would know what it was, right? But to be more refined, that's always been my struggle, right? To be like refined. So I started that, and I'm like, boom, I'm feeling good. Like I feel good with the progress. I'm only hitting it on the weekends because it's like, yo, I'm working hard. And then I started this new venture, right? So that I can get into and make some more money. So I started that Monday. I picked up this course, and it was expensive. And I could have easily, because he gave like a little small outline, right? It's not as detailed. Like once I brought the course and finalized the course, I could see the outline. So what little bit of the outline that he gave in this presentation, in this sales letter, I could have used that and just Googled, right? And YouTube, right? YouTube is a huge asset. And I think that if anyone who wants to start anything, wants to start something new and don't have the money, I think, YouTube is the way, right? And it's like, time and time again, it's not gonna let you down. You can find all of the information on YouTube, and I feel like when you use YouTube, it actually is going to be better because you're customizing what you want to learn and how you want to learn, and at the pace that you want to learn. So I feel like YouTube is huge. Like, it's far as like if you're really trying to learn something, like, you can do it. You can do it and become an expert, right? But I also understand the value of finding a mentor, whether it's a virtual mentor or an actual person. Like an actual person is going to be better than a virtual mentor, right? But either way, no matter what, you just have to take that plunge, right? So in my musical studies, I was studying with Bob Thompson, and Bob Thompson is a living legend. He's from New York. He's like, he's a jazz piano player, right? We would say pianist, but look, jazz piano player. And I mean, he's awesome. He's great, right? And he was saying to me, he was like, any book that you buy, if you can get one thing from that book, just one thing, then it was worth it, right? So whether it's $5 or $5,000, whatever you buy, if you can get one thing, one piece of information, one thing that's going to help you in your journey, it was worth it, because whatever you spend on it, the fact that you can spend that on it means that you're not dying, right? You're not, even if that's your last $5,000, that's your last $11, and you gain something, you gain anything from that, it's going to help you, right? It's going to help you, and it's going to be worth it, even if someone else pays far less, right? Because I think that that's my biggest problem. And we're still in the intro. Let's see, how long is this intro? It's like 18 minutes. It's an 18-minute intro, okay? So let's set this over here. I try to be aware because just the gravity, right? Your cables and cords and how they lay, and over time it causes a shortage and things like that. So I try to be aware. So I guess I can actually set it down on the ground. That way it's not as much of a pull on the cord. So yeah, we just put it down right next to us. Let's adjust the mic so we can look at it and make sure our levels are fine. We're comfortable. But so like that's where I'm at with that. And it's like because I'm doing this new thing, I'm in the education part of it, the building the knowledge, it's like, yo, so then I was even using that. Yo, maybe, look, I can't record because, I got to keep studying. And so it's like, yo, man, it just sounds like a bunch of excuses, right? Because you're not seeing the results that you want to see. And it just goes back to a conversation, right? We're talking about commitment. We're talking about consistency. Well, then we got to focus on, okay, what are you actually focusing on? Because if you focus on the right thing, then it can help. It can give you wins, right? So if I'm focusing on doing these 100 push-ups, and I just got to hit my number, right? Right now I'm up to 120. Next week I'm going to be on 140, right? So if I can just focus on just doing these 120 push-ups, just give them 120 and just however many pull-ups. If I just focus on that, then the result of that will be what I want, right? So you guys know, I think I spoke on I'm getting tattooed, but I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well. I know the main topic will be Dennis and my dad, but maybe that may be next week. I don't know, but we're going to get to it, right? It just depends on how this goes, right? But all right, if I'm getting these tattoos, it's like, yo, and remember we're talking about being healthy. We're talking about image. We're talking about looking a little bit better, right? Shoulders just a little bit more beefy. Chest is a little bit more ground round. Then so if I'm just focusing on that, right? I'm just focusing on I want my chest to be more ground round, right? I want shoulders for days, okay? I want my arms to be kissed by He-Man himself. Mwah, by the power of Grayskull, right? I want my back like Arnold himself just came and just slicked down that cocoa butter on my back. Like, ugh, right? Look. If I'm just focusing on that without the means of how to get it, each day that I look at my back and it looked like Bart Simpson oiled me down, well, I'm going to get discouraged, right? I'm going to get discouraged. I'm looking at my chest. I'm looking like a stick man out here. I'm looking like a stick man. Looking at my arms. I'm looking like Kermit the Frog. When you looks kind of weird, right? So it's like, yo, if you focus on the wrong things, then it's easy for you to give up. It's easy for you to stop because you're not even focusing on the right things. But if I'm focusing on my number, all right, I got to get up. Look, I got to do my 120, right? Then by focusing on that number, it produces a result. And I'm not focusing on the result. I'm just focusing on the mechanic. So now I can get a win, right? Boom. I gave him 120 today. I gave him 120 yesterday, right? I'm going to give him 120 tomorrow. Eventually I'm going to get up to 2 pull-ups, right? Look, I'm going to get the 2 pull-ups. Eventually I'm going to get to 10 pull-ups. Like, that is crazy. Especially I'm struggling to do 2. And just thinking and knowing that one day I'll be able to give him 10 straight. Just focusing on that number. Now, just focusing on those numbers, like, without focusing on, Arnold, with that cocoa, just cocoa in my back. Ugh. Who else? Freaking Idris Elba, oil in my shoulders for days, right? Boom. Without focusing on that, I'm getting a little bit closer and closer. So, as we talk about commitment and consistency, if what it is that I'm focusing on is not producing enough wins for me to keep going, well, then I got to step back, right? Step back and focus on something else then. Because I'm too far in the chain. I'm too far down in the chain now. If I'm worried about growing this podcast, right? Because I want 30,000 downloads a month, so that way I can get some type of advertising. That way I can get some type of money, right? So if I'm focusing on the money, then it's like, yo, I'm just only thinking about, I don't even know how much you would even get. I don't even know how much these advertisers even paying, right? But if I'm only focusing on that, and I'm like, boom, I'm too far in the chain. I'm too far down in the chain. I need to step back. Okay, advertisers or a show. Now I'm only looking at the show, and then boom, we're looking at the number, right? So before we get to the show, it really in the chain, we go the money, then we go the high download numbers, right? Subscribers. We're looking at that. We're saying that, okay, this is 30,000, right? 30,000 downloads. Like, I think you probably can start attracting advertisers before 30,000, but 30,000, I believe, is like a good number to where you can go in. Like, yo, I got 30,000 downloads. I think really at that point they come to you just like with your credit and the money that you make. Like I remember not getting no offers. Like, nobody was offering no credit cards. Nobody was offering anything. And then getting to a point where, boom, I'm getting offers like, yo, you want some credit? You want some credit? So I know that once my downloads a month kick up, like, they're going to come to me. Right? So boom, 30,000. So first we was looking at, the money, however much, it doesn't matter how much. But then we was looking at, we too far. It's too far. We got to step back. 30,000 downloads. Man, that's too huge. Step back. Right? And then we get to the podcast. The podcast popularity, right? We got to step back. We keep stepping back, right? Until we can get a win. So if my only win is, all right, you putting up an episode every week. Let's finish out this year, 2022. If we don't die, let's just finish out the year with being consistent, dropping an episode every week, as much as you can. I mean, I may go on vacation. Well, look, man, you gotta do 2 episodes. That way you can time it, and then it'll still release. So no matter what, like, yo, because if that's the goal, right? If that's something that we can do, we can put out an episode every week. And when we put that out, if that's just, look, I just want to get out an episode every week, then boom, that's a win. So when I put it up, hey, I did it. So even though I'm not winning in those in any of the other links in the chain, I step back to a point to where I can win. Right? Because we need those wins. You need those wins, because without those wins, it's just what is it called? Positive feedback or positive reinforcement. Without positive reinforcement, then you can give up. You can quit. You can stop. That when that rain comes and it washes you out, like, yo, you won't have the will to get back up. When it dries up, now that the sun came out and dried up all the rain, like, yo, you don't even have the will to go back up because you've been washed down so many times, right? So that's why it's like, yo, just building that consistency, building that commitment. It's like, yo, step back and further, and how it doesn't matter how far back in that chain you need to step back so that you can get some wins in defeat, right? Because no question about it, like, yo, you being defeated. You being defeated. And that's just like, my jujitsu, like, which I need to bring my grappling dummy. I made one. I made a grappling dummy, and I was thinking about buying one so that this way I wouldn't have to go back to West Virginia and pick it up. But it's like, yo, man, I need to get my grappling dummy, because the reason why I'm not doing jiu-jitsu right now is because of my tattoos. Because you don't want to have these open, because it's a what is it? It's an injury, right? A tattoo is a skin injury, It's like a sunburn. You don't want to have you be trying to recover from a skin injury and you out rolling on the mats and being all sweaty and just being subjected to ringworm and all other type of bacterias and just everything else that come along with grappling, right? So you don't want to be doing that because then you might get a staph infection. It's so much, but it's like, all right, but the show must go on, right? Like, yo, grappling, you still got to do that, right? And I don't do it because I might get into a fight because I really try to avoid that. I did enough fighting as a kid. I don't want to fight. So my grappling is not because I want to protect myself. It's really not. Like I do my grappling just because I just like it. You know, as we're going to get into with my dad, that's just something that my dad, we just wrestled. You know, we just as kids, we wrestled. My dad, he watched wrestling. We met wrestlers, right? So grappling has been, is a part of me, right? It's just a part. Like, yo, that's just at my core. That's who I am, right? I don't watch professional wrestling anymore, but I still love it, right? It's still a part of me. Like that's a part of my past, and that's something that me and my dad we would do. We would watch it. So, that's just crazy. So, that grappling is a part of me. So I need my grappling dummy, right? Like if I had a twin, like yo, we would be wrestling, right? We would be doing jujitsu, we would be doing judo, like just all of that, just perfecting and leveling up in our grappling. So yeah, I think, look, a 30-minute intro. Next week, before we kick the show off, next week I'm going to start introducing other elements to incorporate. So I'm going to record on Tuesday, do my post editing, which I'm just going to start like dropping in sound bites. So instead of me singing them, which I don't know, I might keep saying like I don't know, but because I think a lot of times if I listen to something over, I get more sound ideas that I would like to fit into the episode, right? So I think I'm gonna start because I was gonna do movie clips. I would just listen and then as I'm talking, just drop in some type of movie clip like, who do you work for? Or the citizens of the people of Gotham City approve it. Like, oh man, so we'll see. But I think I'm gonna start, taking 2 days, to drop either some music clips or movie clips into the episode. We'll see, right? So I'll record on one day, drop the movie clips on the other day, and then upload, right? So we did a Tuesday, Wednesday type of schedule. Right now, we're just on a Wednesday schedule. So we'll see, but that's something that I want to do. And I think I'm definitely going to start, right? At some point, I think right now, the format is, look, it is what it is. Like this, we can't control, right? Destiny. Like I was telling you with that tragedy, like yo, that's destiny. And we can say what a person could have, shoulda, coulda, wouldas. These shoulda, coulda, wouldas, I kept them so long. Right? Like we can sing that, but ultimately, like because I've been watching Biggie. I still watch like my Biggie videos on YouTube and Tupac videos on YouTube. I still watch. So like I think Gene Deal, he was a bodyguard for Puff. So right now, I mean, he's doing a lot of interviews, and Lil C's was doing some interviews, and so forth. And it's It's like, man, you just think about that and the finality of death. It's like, man, only if Big didn't go to L.A. or only if he didn't go to that party, if he just would have stayed in his room or, but ultimately, like, that was his destiny. And Tupac, the same way, like, man, if he just, if he would have just stayed in that hotel room with Kadada Jones, he maybe he would still be here today. I mean, he was on a trajectory though. So, it's like, that's his destiny. And it's a sad destiny from our standpoint as fans, right? And then when we start talking about family members who pass on, like, it's sad that, they pass whenever they pass, but like, that's their destiny. We all have it. We all have our destiny. So with the show, with the podcast, with the gaming, with the books, with the whatever, like, we all have a destiny. We're all under a weather pattern that we cannot control. Now, I can say that, all right, I know that it rains more over here, so let me go over there. Right? If you want rain, like, so if you're planting seeds and you need rain, right? We planting seeds and we know, like, this is like, they have apple trees over here. It's a bunch of apple trees. So, if we plant our seed over there, then maybe we have a better chance of our apple tree growing. Right? We can do that. Like, as humans, that's the good part about being a human is that we can do that. We can go and look at a pattern and see, like, this, I want to grow this apple tree. Let me go where apple trees are and just put my seeds down there, right? Maybe find some apple tree growers and talk to them and see how, what's some best techniques. If we need rain, like if I know I'm in the desert, if I've been born in the desert, I live in the desert, but I want an apple tree, like, I can get to the delta, or I can just keep going past the desert, right? Get to a forest, get to some more greenery. Boom, try to kick that apple tree up there, right? So, like, we know that, but all the other factors that play into it, it really just boils down to destiny. It's like, if you in your life, if it's meant for you to do that, then you will do that. And if it's not, it's not. Like, we think about basketball play, about anything, it's all about numbers and time, like far as where you are in time. So right now at this time, people are living like more and more people are living like lords. So if we go back to let's go 1200, 900, right? 200 AD. We go to 200 AD and we go to Europe because, this system is based on like a Western civilization, right? You can go anywhere in the world, any civilization, right? It doesn't matter. 900 AD. However, the aristocrats and the lords were living during that time is more people in today's time living like that. So you go back then, it was maybe only, let's say 10 or 20 people, right? Only 20 people was living like that. They had a bed, a comfortable bed, and they had clothes like just they could have their clothes washed, right? But they had clean clothes. They had semi-okay teeth, especially over in Europe. They had bad teeth over in Europe. So you had a small number of people who had decent teeth. But boom, look at today. Like, you got millions of people with decent teeth. Right? To the point that, like, you got to go beyond decent now. right? It's so common and so normal. They're like, yo, this is nothing, right? So it's about time. So if you want, like I can't say we all want it, but I know that I want, right? I want a certain level of life, right? I want to experience a certain level of life. Now, in my time, in this day and age, there's more people living the type of life that I want to live. But if things keep moving in this trajectory, right, we'll know that, let's say, 1,000 years from now, like, yo, it's going to be a huge number of people that are going to be living the life that I want to live. Like, it's going to be a huge number. It's going to be like, yo, crazy. That's just going to be standard, a standard way of life. Everything that I want, the things that I want, like, yo, that's just going to be common. Everybody's going to have it. It's just going to be normal. So, you know, boom, we're going to aspire to something else. I really don't care about where it is in relative to others, right? The type of life that I want to live, I don't care if people perceive it as the very bottom or the very top. Like, I don't care about public perception. This is just something that I want for myself. Like, I want it, right? Like I want this type of life, and it doesn't matter. Like, so in a future where that, wow, man, that's the bottom. Well, look, I'm good with that then. Look, I'm good with the bottom because, you know, like, yo, I was born and grew up on the bottom in my time. So look, I know how bad it can get. Like, I know how bad it can get. Like, yo, I got evicted on my birthday. We got put out, right? We got evicted on my birthday. Like, yo, happy birthday to you. Get the hell out of my house, right? So like, yo, I know, and it gets even, you know, it gets even darker than that. So I gotta even be grateful for my life, like, yo, and for the things that I've experienced, because I know people who've experienced a lot worse, right? So, you know, I'm chasing a certain lifestyle, but if that lifestyle was the very bottom at whatever time in history that it's just like, yo, it's just a standard. Like, yo, I'm good with that. Like, trust me, I am good. Like, I don't care to, you know, to be a man amongst men. Like, I don't care about none of that, man. Like, yo, I'm good. You know, I'm good, man. I just want to draw. I just want to make some music, practice and train in jujitsu, and, you know, just being like moving, like having that freedom to move as I see fit and to take on the curiosities and the whims of my imagination. Like, yo, I want to have that ability. So if that's the standard at some point in human history, like, yo, that's where I want to be. I want to go there. You feel me? Like, yo, because right now it's not the standard. But our standard, especially here in America, like, yo, our standard in America is a lot better than some other places, right? And, you know, like, yo, Baltimore, especially, you know, the part that I grew up in, like, yo, that's like a third world country. We talking about no gas and electricity. You got water. Boom. At least you got clean water. But even that shit can be cut off, right? So, and there's nobody there to help you. No one cares, and the world's in secrecy, because that's really what we're facing now. It's just secrecy. Everybody is, look, you can't know something because then you're going to take away from me. So we got that secrecy. So we're dealing with that. We're dealing with that secrecy. And as I was, you know, about to talk about the wrestling part, of my childhood and just remember my dad, I was about to cry. I was about to start crying, which I always like whenever I notice, and it's always been like that. Whenever I talk about my dad, like it makes me cry. Right. And I feel that when I think like, but why? Like, why? Okay. All right. You miss him. But I think the real big part is just the change that I was able to make. Like he never got a chance to see that change. And that's that's hard. And you like, yo, that's it. Like that's the finality of death. So as it rears I can't even say ugly head, but as it reared its ugly head on us yet again, it's like, yo, it's just a reminder of that finality. That like, yo, death is final. Now, from a religious standpoint, right? It's not final, and So I'm not arguing that, I'm not arguing belief. Like I'm saying as we know it, right? As we know it, like, yo, it's final, right? So all of the change, and we're just talking about our loved ones. Like, yo, you want them to be able to see that change. You want them to be able to see the growth, right? And being able, like, yo, to be able to depend on you for a little bit, right? Because as a kid, you can't really help. You can't help. You can't help out. You can't even get in the game, right? It's like you watching the game, you watching the NBA game, and you can't get in. Okay? You can't get on the court. Like, yo. And, once you get out there on the court, like, boom, now you can help, right? I think it was a statement LeBron said that, he wants to retire when he gets the chance to play with his son. Like, yo, get a chance. He want to play on the same team as his son. And then he can retire. Like, so he wants to, like, yo, whatever he has to do, if he has to juice, he has to get juicy in the end, right? Like, yo, he's going to do whatever it takes for him to be able to play with his son. You know how, like, yo, that's huge. That's big. That's really big, right? That's really big. To be able to, to play with your son. It's hard enough, really, if your kids are into the same thing that you're into. Like, yo, because it doesn't always end up like that. Now, some people, it does, right? But that is not 100%, Just because you are doing something, that doesn't mean that your kids will do that, right? Now, when it happens, like, yo, be grateful, because I think people can take that stuff for granted. Take it for like, yo, I mean, this is just what it is. Like, nah, it's not. I'm telling you, there's a lot of people out here who kids are nothing like they are. And they're doing the same thing that you're doing. Like, yo, you are not special in that look, I'm just a good dad. My kids want to, look, it's things beyond our control, right? So if your kids are into the same things that you're into, like, yo, man, that's great. And I ain't talking about, back when when you're freaking stalling over them. You feel me? You just like, yo, you're you're 4 or 5. You're gonna do what I tell you to do, right? Like, I ain't talking about that dictatorship. I ain't talking about dictatorship. I'm talking about when your family dynamics become a democracy and they get to say and have some say so in what they want, and you actually listen. Because it could be where my kid want to do whatever, but nah, you're gonna do this because because I say so. So I'm not talking about those situations. I'm talking about a genuine situation where your kid loves the same. You and your kid love, whatever. If it's just watching football, then y'all been watching the Super Bowl together all your life, like, and that's what y'all do, like, yo, like that's a good thing, because it doesn't always happen. So for them to want to actually become a basketball player and y'all actually play together on that team, like, yo, man, that's a good goal as a basketball player, because it really, unless you're relevant, your kid doesn't have a guarantee into sports. It doesn't matter how good you were or how good you are, right? Because really, but once your kid comes up, is how good you were, right? It doesn't matter. Like, yo, okay, you Michael Jordan, but like, yo, if you're not playing, like, I mean, look, man, we're not gonna pick up your son, right? If you Michael Jordan and you getting ready, your son is getting ready for college, and we're picking kids, we're picking the future students so that we can get a championship, we can get a ring, right? We can get this money, we can get those plaques. Are you Michael Jordan? And I hear that you was great. Like, yo, we all love you, and I buy your shoes just like everybody else. But we got this other kid over there who's actually putting up numbers. Like, yo, he is the best. And we get to pick him or pick your son. Like, yo, I'm going to go with him. You feel me? Because, like, yo, why get Michael Jordan's son when I can get Michael Jordan? Right? This kid is the best in college. But if Michael Jordan could say, yo, you pick up my son, I'm going to drop down in age and I'm going to play on the team, right? Boom, his son, his daughter, anybody, like, yo, if he could, all right, I'm going to, transition. I'm going to drop down to 22, right? 20-year-old freshman, or however, whatever, you got to be prime as a college student, whatever that age is, 19 or whatever. I'm going to drop down to 19. I'm going to reassign my gender, and I'm going to play on this team, right? Y'all going to get the publicity. Y'all going to get my skill if y'all pick up my daughter, like, yo, or you pick up my son. Boom. That's a no-brainer. So, boom, once you get to the NBA, right, and this is something that no other player has been able to do, is to hang around, or the NFL. In music, it's the same way. Like, yo, it's the same. Like, no one has been able to put their kid on. Like, no one has been able to do that. And sustain it, right? Because you can get them, all right, we'll get them in whatever school. But like I said, if you got whoever's the best, like, people are following them. So your son, okay, they're on this team, but y'all not putting up wins, so it really don't matter. Y'all not, doing this, y'all not doing that. Like, yo, it doesn't matter. Okay, all right, we got for a little bit, right? For 5 minutes, you get recognition, but All right, you're a celebrity, you're a local celebrity. That's it. But you're next to whoever's the best on the team. And whoever's the best on the team, they don't have your celebrity. So that's going to make them even better. That's going to make them shine even more. Right? So it's that reason why this hasn't been done. So, if LeBron can do it, if he can hang around that long, right? Which, if his son was that, was that good, he wouldn't even have to hang around that long. But he wouldn't have to hang around that long because I think his kid is in high school. I think his kid is in high school. Remember, LeBron went from high school to NBA, right? Mari Stoudemire. What's the guy? I'm not into basketball like that. I'm not into any sports, but like grappling, fighting, stuff like that. Melo, right? He came through Baltimore as well on his journey, right, to the NBA. So like those type of cats, like boom, they went. Kobe. So it could happen, but I don't think that's in Braun's. What is it, Bronny? I don't think that's in his fate. You never know, right? But again, like if we hark back to destiny, right? Like destiny, that's something that we cannot avoid, right? So if he's destined to do it, then he will do it, right? He'll go boom straight, and then both of them will play. Other than that, you got to take the long way around, right? Now he is getting some pull because of his dad, but if that doesn't work, then you take the long way around. He got to at least do a couple years in college, right? So I think he got to at least do his high school year, do a couple years in college. So that'll make, LeBron playing at least 2 to 3. He has to hang around and compete at that high level for at least 3 more years, right? And it's like, he can do it, especially if, that's the goal that he wants for himself. Like, he can do it. So, I just commend him on that, right? I commend him on that because I would want to have, been a man and been around my father, right? I would have want to have done that, and a lot of the talks that I had with other older men, I would like to just have had that talk with my father, because what they say, Biggie, he said, bitches come, bitches go. That's why I bust my nut and I'll be out the fucking dough, right? So that statement is for friends, right? Friends come and friends go. Right, but family is there forever, right? Even like siblings, they don't like each other. Look, man, and I remember I was in a church. It was like revival. It was during the revival. So and 2 sisters, they was hashing it out in tongues. They was just hashing it out. You feel me? Like, they just speaking in tongues to the congregation, both of them, yelling their point in tongues to the congregation. That was crazy. That was crazy. But even those sisters, those 2 sisters who haven't talked, they haven't spoken in Shamalama time, and they haven't spoken in that long, however long that meant, whatever that means. Like, they haven't spoken in that long. Like, they still sisters. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that y'all haven't spoken in that long. Y'all still sisters. But a person, all right, I haven't spoken with my old friend Jazz, right? I haven't spoken with him in I don't know how many years, right? He used to be my best friend. Like, we're not best friends anymore. It's not because there's a problem, right? It's just we've just been separated that long. Like, we've been separated. Life has happened, and like, we we're no longer best friends, right? We would have called each other brothers, right? We're no longer brothers in the sense because, like, yo, I don't know what the hell is going on with his life, and he don't know what the hell is going on with my life, right? And just being able to say that, okay, I see you over there struggling, like, yo, that don't mean shit. You feel me? Because, like, yo, a brother is not about just seeing you struggle. A brother is I'm going to get down there. I'm going to help you get out of there. Like, yo, that's what brotherhood is. And that's for me, too. Like, yo, whatever he's struggling, whatever he dealing with, like, yo, I need to be down in that mud. You feel me? That's a real brother. Like, friends. All right. Okay, y'all friends. We talking about the G code, no snitching. Well, brothers... Yo, a real brother code is like, yo, man, I'm not going to let my little brother, like, yo, man, I'm not going to let my little brother go down for nothing I do. Nothing. Like nothing. You feel me? Like, yo, that's brother, like, that's brotherhood. It's not about no snitching. Like, yo, my brother's not going down for nothing that I do. Like, yo, that's not, no. You feel me? Like, no. You see what I'm saying? But friends and brothers, that's my brother, right? I know snitching. I'll go on, take that bid, do those 10 years, and hopefully I can, I don't know what I'm going to do in those 10 years that you locked up and you following the G code. Look, man, I'm just going to be jerking off more outside while you jerking off on the inside, right? Like, ain't no damn code. Like, yo, that's nothing to be. That's not loyalty. That's not. That's like, come on, man. That's BS. That's trick knowledge right there. Right? A brother, like, yo, a brother would never do that. No. Like, nah. That's not gonna happen. Right? Whoever is the most likely to finish the race. Like, yo, that's the one who's going to finish that race. So it is what it is, right? If I'm the more promising brother, right? I got the more promising future. Like, yo, I can finish this and I can, have it set up to where whenever you get out, like, yo, I'm going to take care of you. Like, yo, we're going to be good. Then boom, I'm going to be the one finishing the race. And if it's him, then he going to be the one, right? Because there's no question about, like, yo, man, this Paulie. What'd you do with the money, Paulie? You a rocker. You feel me? Like, yo, ain't none of that. Like, yo, it's none of that. And that can't be replicated. Like that cannot be replicated. And I get it that some of y'all don't have strong family ties. And what I see with my own kids is, like, people see reality and create reality for themselves, right? Like, just on any get, like, yo, I can only imagine, like, yo, I would never bet on whatever my kids is gonna say and how my kids perceived their childhood. Like, yo, I would never bet on that, because as we watch, as we talk about different stories and different things from their past, it's like, yo, that shit didn't even register to them. They like, oh, that happened? What the fuck you mean did that happen? Like, you don't remember? You don't remember all of these kick-ass vacations? You don't remember eating every damn night? Not being hungry? Like, yo, you don't remember that? You don't remember having clean clothes on your back? Right? You don't remember that, do you? You don't remember me getting you up to school and taking you to school every day? Like, yo, you don't remember that? But what you do remember, huh? You yelled at me one time. You spanked me that one. Like, man, get out of here, man. I ain't trying to hear that shit. Like, I ain't trying to hear that shit. Like, you'll say that shit for cancel culture. You feel me? Like, save that shit for them. Because that's what they want to hear that. They want to rally around that. Like, they do. They want to rally around that. Right? Like, people just see reality however they choose to see it. Right? So, like I said, I mean, some of y'all, y'all don't have the best relationships with your family and, whatever, man. Like, I can't speak on that, right? Is you ain't my baby. But no matter what that relationship is, like, that's still your family. And I know, like, family is, it's not like, they all there. Like, you got some crazy ass cousins. You got some crazy brothers. You got some crazy sisters. Like Dennis. And let's see what time we're working with. An hour. We're an hour in. So we may talk about Dennis and my dad. We may not. Just because I even had a crying session earlier. Just speaking just a little bit, right? So, I'm really not trying to just cry, right? You gotta let it out, and like that doesn't bother me, like that doesn't bother me. I don't care, man. I'm a human, like I'm a human, man. Y'all want to be, freedom, like you want to do all that, man. That's cool with me, man. But you know what, man? I'm gonna be screaming like a little siach. Okay, you try to cut me open from my belly on up and pull out my intestines. Like, yo, man, I'm gonna be screaming. I'm gonna be screaming and begging for my life. Like that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, like that's what I'm gonna do. All right, and y'all can look, man, I'm gonna do that. I don't care about none of that shit, man. I don't care about none of that. Like, that. What's the saying? What Jay say? What you eat don't make me shit. So go have it. Have at it. Have at it, right? So, I'm not trying to discredit anybody's upbringing and the trauma and whatever they went through. Like, I'm not trying to discredit that. I'm not saying that whatever I went through was worse than yours, so you should no. However you feel, like, that's how you feel. And that's your choice. I know people don't like when Kanye said that slavery was a choice. I get it. You feel me? I get that. But I don't care. Like, it's whatever. Like, you just don't like it. So however you perceive reality, that's how you perceive it. And I don't have anything to do with that. Like, I can't comment on it. I can't comment on it. I was reading about, again, more and more black people, so Samuel, he got a problem with Joe Rogan saying the N-word, right? Like, yo, I look, man, I can't come at Samuel. Like, yeah, he starred in, several Quentin Tarantino movies who Quentin Tarantino wrote the word down, right, in his screenplay for another black man to say it. Like, I can't comment on that. And now you trying to attack Joe Rogan for just saying it. It's not like he even called someone this, right? But like, yo, I can't attack Samuel. I can't. Look, man. He a human. So I mean, he's gonna see things however he see things, and I gotta respect that, right? I gotta respect that, yo, man. Look. No matter what the agenda is, someone has an agenda. I got to respect that agenda. Whatever. Like, yo, I don't have to agree with it. I don't have to disagree with it. But look, there's an agenda being pushed. There's always an agenda being pushed. So what's any different from this agenda from the last agenda? Right? This one is trying to get me to focus and get me to feel a certain type of way. Right? So it's like, yo, now it's a problem. But when the agenda was trying to get you to feel some type of way, to get you to do something, it was like, I didn't care about it, right? So it's like, it's either I'm going to care about these hidden agendas or I'm not. So if I don't care about it for you, then I can't care about it for me, right? If you can't say the N-word, well, then I can't say the N-word. Right? Like, if that's how we really going to do it, because it's like, yo, man, it's a joke anyway. It's a joke, man. Like, we live in a world where certain words that that people cannot say. Like that's mind-boggling. That really is mind-boggling. I think I don't know if we'll have a short, because I'm trying to think. All right, we can jump into Dennis and my dad, right? So, my dad grew up on the crime side, the New York Times side. Staying alive was no job. Had second hands. Moms bounced on old mans. So, he grew up in Baltimore, and he grew up rough and tough with his Afro puffs. Hey, rock on with your bad self. But I think if I had to give a word, for my dad, a few words that I would come up with would be inappropriate, a pervert, and caring. He really cared about the youth, right? So I know I said inappropriate, and I know I said pervert, right? But his loyalty to the black community, it was crazy, Like it was definitely crazy. Like he really cared about, getting kids off the streets and like just not, giving them an alternative. Like he really cared about it, because you could see that in his life and in his actions without getting paid, like that's how you really going to tell a person. It's like, yo, what do they do for free? What do they do for free? So, he's running like these programs off the books, right? He's running stuff off the books. And the crazy thing is like, man, just to say it, all right, to say, you care about the youth, and we got it, man, the youth is going down the wrong path, and they this and they that. But he was there, right? Like front lines, always coached every sport. He coached every sport, and had kids in these sports, right? And he was there. Look, man, coaches, they wasn't getting no money. We talking about the Bad News Bears. Right? We had no uniforms. We had no. It wasn't like with my kids when they got into sports. It was already organized. It was stuff is already organized. We talk about Baltimore City. This is not organized. This is just a couple guys. It's man, I'm gonna get a baseball team on my side of the Baltimore, East Baltimore, and you start one on yours, and then this way they can start to meet each other, right? Because if you really think about it, that's the big problem. Like even here in Charlotte, man, and this is happening all out the country. Serial rape, serial rape is no joke. And serial killers, man, that shit is still happening. People don't realize that it's happening, but it's still happening. There are serial rapists in these cities, in these communities, right? And they just not. It's not breaking through. It's like this podcast, A lot of people don't know about this podcast, but we hitting it every week. And that's how some of these serial rapists and killers are, right? Man, they putting in that work even today. And one of the biggest reasons for that is the lack of contact and just knowing, like, knowing a person. The lack of community. You don't even know your community. You don't even know the people in your neighborhood, right? Now, we knew the people in our neighborhood, so you were safe. And that's usually how the cities go. If you're from a neighborhood, like, you're safe in that neighborhood. Now, when you don't know someone in that neighborhood, you go into a new neighborhood that you don't know, you're not as safe. So what was the solution to that, right? What was the solution? My dad and whatever, the other, gangsters, right? Because, from the 70s, the 70s movement was more of a political movement, right? So you have the 60s and the 70s, it's a political movement. So you got these gangs, and now they're becoming organizations. And you can look at this. You can Google it, right? I don't need to Google it because I lived it. So I know, I know firsthand. I don't need to Google it. This isn't something that I Googled, but I know for a fact because I lived it, right? So because of that organizational structure that the gangs took on, so then you got some of these gang members, some of these gangsters trying to come up with alternative ways about things to solve conflicts. So instead of, because like I said, if you're not from a neighborhood and you don't know someone, well then they come in your neighborhood, they're going to have a bad day. Right? Now, what's the best way to start to get to know different people in these different neighborhoods? You got school, right? School is a good way. But then really you got sports, because a lot of kids don't like school, right? We talking a lot of boys, especially the ones that I grew up with, we don't like school. We ain't like school like that. Give me some trucks. Give me some hammers. Put me out. Get me out in the streets, man. Nobody want to be crammed up in this building all day. I'm in a building all day at home. Right? I'm from that age where you want to be outside. And that's nothing wrong with people who, this new age, you want to be inside. There's nothing wrong with that. Because this is more in line with school. This is more in line with business, right? So remember we talked about those 100 hours, those 1,000 hours on the bus that was building something. I was working towards something. If you're in the house all day, then you can handle being in class all day. You can handle being in the library all day. If you never even experience it, if you never be able to experience that, right? That college life, but you've been in a house playing video games all day, it's not going to be tough for you to go into a library. But, some of the video game etiquette is, especially today, if you're playing first person shooters and you playing with your group, then you talking, right? And you cutting up and you using all types of language that's, idiotic, that we even care about whatever the language is. But, you using some language that's just offensive, and the volume that you're using is offensive for the library, right? But that still doesn't take away that, you can be in a library for 6 hours, dog. If you was on that game for 6 hours, hunched over on that handheld, right? Hunched over on that switch, you can be hunched over for hours in them books. If you watching Twitch, right? You watching Twitch for hours, right? You can get into a college classroom and watch a professor for hours, right? So this stuff transfers over. Right? So we talking about just the youth. And I didn't want to be in school. I didn't want to be in a classroom, right? It was pushing us to be outside. I wanted to be outside. Even now, I want to be outside, right? The gamer side of me have developed. I can be inside is okay, but I prefer to be outside. That's just the age that I grew up in, where you were outside. So you got all these boys who want to be outside. That's what they're pushing on us, being outside. Well, then how you going to meet these people? Boom, sports, right? And after you play a game, everybody got to shake each other's hand, right? Everybody got to give each other dap. And whether you won or you lost, you gotta show some love to the next person. Now, see, all of this stuff in today's time right now is just standard. This is regular stuff, right? But it comes from the element in the gang culture from the 60s and the 70s, right? With them trying to be more political, with the gangs taking on a more political view, right? So that, like, yo, now that I go into this other neighborhood and I'm about to get beat up, I got somebody who can vouch for me. Because if we're all outside and I go into this new neighborhood that I've never been in and they see me, they like, yo, that's Bo right there. Yo, man, we whipped his ass in baseball. You know, and now instead of me getting beat up, we talking about the game, right? Yo, man, you some super trash, man. Why you even on the team? Yo, my dad was a coach. Yeah, I can see, man. You definitely need to practice more, though. You definitely need to practice more. And, yo, man, you just can't, you got lucky today because we know you, right? Because we can play ball with you. And we can't really beat you up because, like, yo, we're going to see you next weekend. And, like, yo, the coach is going, like, yo, they're going to give us hell, right? So this structure was set up to combat gang violence. And you see it now just everywhere. Like I said, my kids, they're in sports and they got to do the same thing, right? But they don't have that element of they're going to be in somebody's neighborhood and they're going to get beat up, right? So now they still shaking each other's hands at the end of the game and they still meeting, right? They're meeting a pool of people, but it doesn't transfer over, right? It's still good though. Like, sports, there's so many different elements to it. But the networking, especially from a hood standpoint, like, yo, that's life saving. That's saving a life right there. That's saving a life. So that's what that's what he did. He formed basketball leagues, formed baseball leagues, formed football leagues, formed, like, yo, anything that, like, whatever the kids were playing, like, that's what he was forming and getting a large group of kids and then going talking to another gangster, and they get some type of group of kids, and they going, look, we're gonna play against each other, right? And we're going into these different neighborhoods. We're going into the projects, right? You get to go down to the projects. Man, like, yo, Baltimore projects is like Chicago projects. I think Chicago projects was worse, but see, I was a kid, so I get to remember Baltimore projects as a kid. I'm only hearing about Chicago projects as an adult. So my level of understanding and my perception is different. So when I hear about, like, so Baltimore, I didn't know. Like, I don't know. I would have to talk to one of the older gods and hear, like, yo, and they probably would tell me, yo, man, they was shooting. They was killing people left and right in these projects. Right? As a kid, I don't know that because I didn't live in the projects. So I don't know how many people was dying in Lafayette projects or Murphy Homes, Flag House, right? Like, I don't know if people was dying. I'm sure they were because the kids, like, yo, they was beating people up. Like, yo, man, just the violence was crazy. The violence was crazy, man. You couldn't go nowhere, right? So because of the sports, it allowed you to go places because it allowed you to meet. It allowed you to meet people, right? Networking. And this is life-saving networking because, Baltimore in the hood, like, yo, you down here, yo, you're going to have a problem. It's going to be a bad day you're around here, right? And just school wasn't good enough. School wasn't good enough to stop the violence because what we see now is that even in elementary school, kids will click up in their little small groups. So they'll click up and, this gang over here, you'll have like 2 or 3 major gangs in a school, right? We're talking about elementary school. And they're keeping this going. When they get to middle school, no, we don't like them. But if the middle school, if both areas, so let's say, most gangs, usually it worked like around the corner or a few blocks over, right? So once that area gets lumped into all of y'all are going to the school on the other side of town. Well, now those 2 gangs can come together. But sometimes it don't work like that, right? Sometimes these little rifts are just 1 or 2 blocks away, right? 1 or 2 streets go down this street, go down that street, and boom, just that far, and they killing each other, right? So schools don't work, but sports work. Like it works, like it worked, and it worked. I'm telling you guys that it did work because your boy was able to go into these different neighborhoods and they be like, yo, man, that's Bo. That's Coach's son. Like, boom, time and time again. Yo, that's Coach's son right there, right? So, it did work, And then even after those, even after the game time, right? He would bring the team together. Like, we would walk downtown, right? That's probably like a 2-3 mile walk. Yeah, I think it's like a 2 or 3 mile walk. So we would walk downtown and, just hang around the inner harbor. We would go to the movies. We would go to restaurants, right? He was a hustler. That's another word, That was another word that I could attribute to him, He was a hustler. He would, this is my son's birthday or we just won our first game, right? We lost, right? So he was coming up with all types of different angles, right? Get you a hot dog or get you a burger, right? Get you something to eat, right? In the restaurant or, they look, man, they get we helping out the young youth, right? We helping out the young black youth. So they was ready to do that. They was ready to do that. And I remember we would just be hungry. Like, we used to go to soup kitchens, and this was more of an intimate affair. So like the whole team didn't go, but we went there to eat. Like me and my cousins, we went there, and I remember like I was probably well in my teens. I didn't even realize we used to go there so much that, I just I didn't even realize that it was like for homeless people and the downtrodden. I didn't even realize that I was a downtrodden. You feel me? And I remember, my cousin Al, he like, yo, man, those places man, those like soup kitchens. You feel me? That we was going to it'd be like Saturday morning breakfast. You feel me? I didn't even realize, but you saw those people. I remember when I was real little, we went, and I was afraid. I was afraid of like the homeless people. I was afraid of the downtrodden. And I remember my dad, he said he had to check me, like, yo, man, don't be afraid of them, man. Don't be afraid, right? So, we went there to eat. And I'm sure he probably even helped out at a few of them, right? And he probably went to eat on his own sometimes at some point in his life, right? So and that was a big thing, and I don't think I've seen, I've came across it again in West Virginia. I've never went there to eat, but one time we was doing like a benefit because I worked at an after school program and I worked, I did a little bit of community care and community service, just a little bit. Like, I'm nowhere near the level of my dad. Like I was getting paid for my shit, so I can't. And if I wasn't getting paid for it, then I wouldn't be doing it. Like we just gotta keep it real because we talking about my dad. And my dad kept it real, and my dad, like I can't take that away from him. I can't act like we were the same in that endeavor because he did it for free. Like, and that means a lot. Like, it means a lot. Like, he did it for free. You can't beat somebody when they doing something for free. Like, yo, man, it's just for the love of the people, Like, man. So yeah, I experienced it later on in life a little bit, but like I think a part of me always wanted to run away from that, right? But like I was saying, my dad, like I was scared, I was just scared of him. You get to see these homeless people and downtrodden. You get to see them, you're a young tyke, like, yo, man, they looking scary. Like, yo, man, these cats, they looking scary. Like, what is it? Cannonball Adderley. His real name is like Cannibal. He's a saxophone player, jazz saxophone player. And one of my professors, he was telling me, like, yo, he saw him on TV, like, yo, man. Like, yo, this guy was going into one of his little fits, because I think he was battling with, like, some type of mental illness. Like, yo, so he, like, zoning out. Maybe he was even on heroin. Like, I don't know. But whatever the deal is, like, yo, heroin and mental illness, like, yo, y'all can only imagine. Like, yo, man, this is some real illness. If you look like you on a trip on a white horse, or the tar, it got the brown horse, the black horse. You like you on a trip on a black horse, like, yo. So he on TV, and he just drooling from the mouth, and he just looked like a homeless bum. He said, man, I remember watching this on TV, like terrified, like. And they zooming in on him, right? That's the type of people that young Bo was around. That's the type of people that I was around. My dad had me around that. People just looking scruff McGruff out this piece. Only you can prevent forest fires. Like, oh man. How the hell am I going to do that? Like, yo, man, what if it rages up then? Like, yo, man, only you can get the hell out the forest when it's a fire. Like, man, I'm telling you, man. Like, yo, those people, man, that was crazy, But he had us around that early. So early, like, yo, I didn't even realize what it was, Like I said, my cousin Al, like, yo, that was for homeless people, man. Like, man. Like, I remember I used to be happy Saturday mornings that you watch Saturday morning cartoons, take that long ass walk. You take, like, yo, because we walked everywhere, man. I remember we won some type of, he won bowling tickets. I've never, at the time, I'd never been bowling, right? I was young, and, we had to walk. This is a place called Jessup, Maryland. So I don't even know how he got these tickets. I don't know how he got it, right? But look, man, check this out. Check this out, man. So we got to walk to a place called Jessup, Maryland, from East Baltimore, right? Which I don't even know. Let's pull up the map. Let's go to Jessup. Because this was like, yo, this, in my kid mind, yo, this was like a 6-hour walk. Like, yo, this walk was long. This was the longest walk that I ever took in my life. Like, yo, man, this was the longest walk, man. Let's see. Jessup. Let's go. I'm sure it'll. Maybe with an E. Here we go. Jessup. All right, let's see. All right, so that's 6 hours from here, right? So, we need a point. There we go. Get our point. So in that way I can see how far it was from East Baltimore. So we found Jessup. Boom. Oh my God. Like, jeez. Jeez Louise. Like, yo, man, this is far as hell. Hugging on my mama from a jail cell. So Jessup. Damn, that's far. So, yeah, guys, damn, it was far. So it's a 6-hour drive from here. So, man, that was a 6-hour walk from where we were, right? So, man, it's like I said, this is the longest walk ever, man. And I remember, just feeling like, we left probably like 10, 12, around 12, 10 or 12, right? And we walked, and it was like getting dark, and we finally get to this bowling alley, right? This is the first time that I, went bowling. And, man, I just had so much fun, right? Had so much fun. And I remember on the way back, man, once, after we was done, because remember I told you my dad was a hustler. So he, he definitely finessed more rounds, right? So we got to play a lot. Like all you can bowl. Like, this was our bowling alley. So we stayed for a long time. We just bowled. And then on that stretch back, like, he got us a ride, right? He got us a ride, man. So, so that's man, that's how, that's the type of man he was. That's the type of man he was. Now, yeah, he had he had a dark side as well. Okay. Like, we got to look at both sides of the coin, right? Because the coin is still a beautiful coin, even on the opposite side of it, right? Because you get a chance to just look at why a person, like the why, right? The why. So he was big on integrity and respect, which you guys know I'm really not. At this point in my life, like, I don't really care about none of that. Like, yo, man. But I understand, from his standpoint, right? And I definitely, would have liked to have talked more about his life, because as a kid, you're not thinking about your parents' life like that. You're thinking about man, what the hell happened with the Dark Phoenix saga? Like, just X-Men just went off. Like, they ain't even. There's no ending, no nothing. Like, they not gonna tell us anything. Just like, man, it's a Dark Phoenix, and boom, right? I'm worried about what the hell happened to the Dark Phoenix. What happened to the X-Men? Like, it just, boom, it's in syndication. I didn't even know it was syndication. Just, I've seen this episode. What the hell? What? Like, this shit just went off. I'm worried about that, and I'm not really thinking to actually talk to my dad about his life and to see, like, tell me about your life, man, from your earliest memory all the way up until now, And I never got that chance. And I think that's what, I think that's what hurts as well. It's not just the fact that he's no longer here, right? But it's it's a lot of the story that I don't get a chance to know, and it's only because of my perception and how culture is. American culture in the '80s was real on just yourself, right? And I've always been a listener. I've always, I always like to listen, right? So, I would have loved to have listened to his story, before me, right? What was the story before me, right? So that would have been good, how he met my mom, right? Like that type of stuff. And when I had the opportunity, I just wasn't thinking about that, right? I was thinking about the Dark Phoenix. I was thinking about Darkwing Duck. Let's get dangerous, right? So, I'm thinking about that, what was that? DuckTales. Ooh, do, right? So I'm thinking about all of that stuff, and that stuff isn't important, right? So again, it's just a waste of time just for the poor people. I feel like that is the trap, right? We talk about the trap, and the trap, people look at it more as like, all right, the trap house, like, drugs and all of that is trapping you into a system, right? It's putting you into now you're in jail, now you're this, now you're that, right? It's putting you in that situation, and your life is messed up. But just from a cultural standpoint, if that's all you got, like, that's a trap. Like, before the drugs, just if you're not really thinking about your lineage and where you come from, you're not thinking about your future. You're not thinking about how the things that you do impact your life. Like, that's a trap, like that's a real trap. That's a real trap, right? So yeah, so he definitely the good side, right? Now let's dip on over to the dark side. Taking it down on the wild side, taking it down. So let's see. All right, we gotta get to the pervertedness, right? To the inappropriateness. Still along the lines of kids, right? We're still on that line. So I remember we went downtown, right? He got the whole team. Like, he got, and the whole team is not like, 20 or 30 of us. It's probably like 10, I would say like 10, maybe 10, 12 of us, right? 10, 12 kids. He got us downtown, and it's late. I mean, like, we're downtown. Like, we go to Crazy John's. Like, we just living it up downtown, right? We living it up. And like we go to eat. Like, we just living it up downtown, man. 12 kids. And so we're walking back. Like, I remember I told you guys, it's like, 3-mile walk. As we're walking back, and we get to not even the entry point to our neighborhood. This is still well before the entry point. So this is probably like maybe 3 or 4 blocks, before the entry point, right? We get there, but we're coming up the main street. Like I said, it's like 12 of us. And the police, come. Police, meet us, right? They meet us, and this is the inappropriate. This isn't the perverted side of them. This is just to kind of let you know how police come up on us. They, they like, a couple of the parents, the parents, they don't know where their kids are. You feel me? Like, you got 12 kids, right? Now, some of the kids are, like my cousins and, my brother, my older brother, right? So, like, no police is called on them. But, some of the kids are like, just regular kids in the neighborhood. Like, man, this guy he didn't check in with the parents. Like, he didn't tell the parents that, like, we was going to be out till, till like 2, 3 a.m. Like, 4 a.m., right? So just imagine, your kid is supposed to have this game at maybe 12 p.m., 1 p.m., and he's gone. You don't hear from him. You don't hear about the team. You don't hear about nothing, until, it's like 3 a.m. It's like, 1, 2 a.m., right? So, the parents, they, because they looking for their kid. They don't know where we're at. And police is involved. And I remember this mom, one of the homies' moms, and he was always even after this situation happened, he was always a friend. But I don't think that he still came over a little bit, right? He still came over a little bit, but not as much, right? So he didn't come over as much. And, I remember we went over to his house, and we're still Facebook friends. This is this is like a really good childhood friend, right? And his mom, just started attacking my dad. You feel me? I'm talking about aggressive, right? She's aggressive, okay? Boom, she's just attacking. And, look, man, my dad handled it well. Didn't grab her, didn't stop the onslaught. Just boom, just took the Scooby snacks, put his hands up. He knew how to block. Like I said, my dad was definitely, one of the top guys, in Baltimore, as far as goons, not, far as, drug kingpin making money. No, he wasn't that. He wasn't that. But he definitely was a savage. In his youth, and like I said, that transferred over to more of an organized thing, right? So he just taking the Scooby snacks, and he understood. He sympathized with the homie's mom. And it was more it was a bunch of parents. It was, like I said, man, it was quite a few parents. And boom, but he got, we walked every kid home, but it's like I said, it's two, and it's a mob kind of building, not a huge mob, but a mob of parents, right, and loved ones, and just trying to figure out, did he take our kid? You feel me? Kidnapped our kid? Is the kid dead? Like I said, this is the 80s. This is the mid to late 80s. So, you got, what is it, American 911? You got kids on milk cartons and all types of shit like that. So, this is just a crazy time for the youth, right? Which is always, but, this is coming right out of the Atlanta child murders, and so you're just following that type of stuff. So child molestation, you feel me? You just coming from all of that. So it's just a bad time. And this isn't cell phones and stuff. So who knows? Maybe some people didn't have house phones. We didn't have a house phone. So some families didn't even have a house phone. So, I'm sure he contacted somebody and let them know, we're going to go out. But but he didn't contact all the parents, right? This was a field trip without, the 2-week notice. Without that note, look, man, we about to go on a field trip. Everybody get there, $2. Look, man, I didn't even go on those field trips. Your boy was so poor. I couldn't even go on the $2 and the $5 field trips. I had to stay in the school. I know I wanted to be outside. So, he didn't even have a 2-week notice. He just sprung it. Look, man, this is our 4th loss. Look, man, we're going to celebrate, man. We're going to celebrate. So he did. It was a lot of that where, and I can say, because other things where he was like, I didn't know, and the type of person I am, I'm a critical. Just you knew. You feel me? That's just the type of person I am. I'm real critical on people, right? I was critical on him on some things, but just kind of reliving this story and like, yo, he honestly, didn't have any bad intentions when he took everybody downtown. We just like, because we used to go downtown all the time, like just walk down there and just hang out all wee hours of the night. Like, yo, get back home like 2, 3 a.m. Like, we used to do that a lot. So, so that's one, right? Where it was innocent, but at the same time, like, yo, you coming off all of those bad things that's happening in the city and just in the world, in the United States. And like, yo, people wasn't trying to hear that, right? So that homie, like I said, he kind of, I don't think he was able to go out with this no more. So he probably couldn't even play on the team no more. You feel me? And a few other people. So that happened. And then he, like I said, on the perverted side, he was definitely like, look, a womanizer. Like, yo, man, he definitely liked his women, So a lot of times on those trips downtown, it would just be me and him, and boom, he would meet some woman, right? So he would meet a woman. Like, I remember this was like after, and like, yo, he was meeting people like, yo, just people out. This is the first time I saw an interracial, relationship. Was my dad. He had this white woman. Like, he met her. I don't know if it was like after a wrestling match, or because we used to always go downtown, and like I said, he was a hustler, right? That's one of the words. So, he was scouting for tickets. Like, we would always go to these, different wrestling events because, what was it? NWA. So I think it's before or after NWA, it was WCW. And then after WCW, I'm not really sure. I think it became something else, right? But so you had, so before WCW, it was NWA, right? And like before WWE, it was WWF. So Baltimore was a big spot, a big hub for wrestling on the East Coast. So those type of organizations would come down and do big events. So like we had a WrestleMania. We had a WrestleMania in Baltimore. We had like whatever NWAs. We had like a Royal Rumble. So like, yo, we had like big events. We had big events in Baltimore back in the 80s, like the 70s and the 80s and stuff like that. We had big events. So I remember one time we went, and I think I told this story, before. And we went to, it was either like a WrestleMania. We went to something, but we couldn't get tickets, right? We couldn't get in, I guess whatever they was charging, whatever the scouts was charging. He was working all of his finesse. Like, he worked everything. This is WWF. I'll never forget this. He worked every hustle, every scam that he could, but we could not get in. So at the end, we waited. So after it's all over, right, and just knowing how things work now, like, it's a long time if everything is dying down. But we waited, and we were around the parking lot, right? We was waiting around, so we were waiting around the parking lot, and we see Hulk Hogan, and this is WrestleMania Hulk Hogan. Like, yo, this is, I wanna be American, fight for the rights of every man. Like, this is the Hulk Hogan, okay? This is the Hulk Hogan. And somehow, some way, my dad, like, yo, I'm in front of Hulk Hogan. I don't know what he told him. I was dying from cancer. I don't know what he told Hogan. You feel me? I don't know what he told Terry. But whatever he told him, Hulk Hogan picks me up, puts me on his shoulder, walks me around a little bit in the parking lot, puts me down, gives my dad like a little five or, a handshake, whatever they was doing back then. He gets back on the tour bus. But You know, so like we didn't go into the event. You know, we tried, but you know, but I had, but I was look, Hogan picked me up, and the crazy thing about it, like it happened so long ago that even I even questioned the validity of the story. Like, man, was that even real? Like, it was so unreal, right? It was so unreal that it was like, man, even now as I think about it, it's like, man, was that a real memory? You know? But yeah, it was. It was like, yo, it was crazy, you know? So during, you know, these wrestling events and different events, right? Different concerts and all types of stuff, you know, he would work it and just leave me, like in the arena, you know? Like, yo, man, he was like, yo, man, you just gotta, you know, you gotta figure it out, right? When we go to the movies, like, yo, like I would go see Transformers and he would go see, or I don't even know if he was seeing a movie, but like, yo, I would be watching the movie and, you know, I don't know. And I remember like, I know sometimes, because I remember it was one movie, him and my brother, my older brother, they went to go see Last Boy Scout. But I don't remember what movie I saw, because this was like, I talked about the old movie theater, but this is like our new one. This was like the new one. Like, so when you think about a movie theater today, like in today's time, this was the first one like that I've ever been to, right? This was the turn, because previous they were, it was like an old type of movie theater, and it was like scary. Like, yo, my memory of it, you know, it was pretty scary. Like, yo, man. So, yo, you just go watch a horror movie in this movie theater. Like, yo, you are terrified going into the theater, you know? So then we finally get one of the new ones, like the type, like every theater looks like, you know, the new one now, right? But, and they have, like 12 12 rooms, and it's huge concession stand, multiple concession stands, and you can do endless popcorn. Like, you know, that's the way it is now. So this was the first one like it. And I remember, so then I would go to a movie. So I think when Transformers, my brother went in there with me, you know, because then we was playing. We was hustling the other people. We was hustling other people in the theater, because we would be like, you know, I bet you, or y'all want to see a magic trick. So this is, you know, this is what my brother, my older brother, he would do this to people. Y'all want to see a magic trick, you know, for I think it was like, you know, $1 or a quarter or 50 cents or something, you know. I'm gonna make my little brother's finger disappear. So you know, so he was hustling. You feel me? Like, yo, he was older, so he was learning the ways from our dad. You feel me? Like, yo, he was a hustler too. And you know, we'll speak on him. I avoid him now, and it's not because of anything that he did. I just don't want to see him in his new current state. You feel me? Like, I know that it's gonna break my heart. So I just when I go back to the city, like I always avoid him. But so you know, so we hustling doing Transformers. So it wasn't Transformers, the movie. It was something else, right? It was another movie, because him and my dad, they went to go see The Last Boy Scout, and I went to go see something else. And then my movie ended early, so then I walk into The Last Boy Scout and I see like the end, right? So I'm watching like the end of it, and you know, they're watching a movie. So that's how he would do a lot, right? It would just be it's either gonna be the three of us or the two of us, right? It just depends. So a lot of times on the two of us missions, he would meet a girl, right? So, you know, back to my first interracial relationship that I actually saw with my eyes in Baltimore City, like, yo, because you just didn't see it. Like, yo, you just didn't see black and white people mixing. Like, you just didn't see that. And so we're out. And like I said, I don't know what event it was. Like, I don't know what it was, man. Because, you know, downtown Baltimore got so much stuff, especially back then, that was going on. There was so much stuff going on back then. So many events. And, we're out. And whatever the event is, I don't know. I don't remember. But it's, it's late. It's after the event. It's after the event. And my dad was definitely vulgar as far as, his language. Right? So, I'll say cooch, but, that's not a high frequency word in my dad's vocabulary, he going full blast. So him and this white woman, they're on a bench, and it's around like the art and cultural center. And boom, they're just making out. He's rubbing on her cooch, and I'm just playing. I'm just out there playing. You feel me? Like, he was, look, man, he gonna expose you to a little bit of everything. Okay? He gonna expose you. And that was, boom, he's just rubbing all on her, and I'm just like playing in front of him, coming, I don't know, maybe I had a toy, maybe I was just using my imagination, I was a Muppet Baby out that piece. So, little Gonzo out there. So I'm just, boom, we just out. You feel me? And then eventually we go home, right? So I'm watching this all the time, like, every weekend, boom, he's just out, making out with women, and he would use like the movie theater. That's where he was picking up. He's picking up these ladies. You feel me? He's picking up these ladies, and I remember it was one girl. This was like, around, this is my age. So it had to have been a movie that, that I watched. It had to have been a movie that I watched as a little tyke, right? And I guess it was another mom and her daughter, and they were watching this movie as well. So then I got to go to her birthday party, right? So, I'm at the birthday party, and, I'm not even thinking about, where's my dad? You feel me? Because I'm just there at the birthday party. I'm, hanging out with this girl, and, it's the first time that, I get to actually just like, you're just around a girl, and you don't have to worry about like if she likes me or if this or if that, right? We kind of met each other at the movies, and my dad takes me to our birthday party, and he's gone, right? He's gone, and this is like well after the party, and I remember just like crying once it was time to go. Like I didn't even want to go, and I don't remember her name. It was so long ago. Like I definitely know I couldn't pick her out of a lineup of two people. Two pictures, one of them being my picture, right? Like I couldn't be like, all right, for $1 billion, was that her? Like, no, right? I couldn't pick her up. But I remember going to that birthday party, and just having a good time, and he definitely, my dad, he was with the mom, you feel me? So that happened a lot, like. He definitely met a lot of women at the movie theater. He would bring me along, you feel me? He'd bring me, sometimes my brother be there too, right? And, I remember one time I kind of walked in on him while he was actually engaging in the carnal sensuousness, the sensuousness of carnality. Right, so he already in them cheeks, and that, I think he was like, don't tell your mom. You feel me? Like, look, man, this, don't be telling nobody about this. You feel me? You dig? Look, man, you can't be letting them know I'm up in them cheeks, right? So yeah, that's the type of person he was, and then I remember him and my mom. They would get into arguments, you know. And my mom really didn't like to argue. She didn't like to yell, you know. I never really saw him hit my mom. I never saw that. But sometimes, you know, they would be getting to that arguments. He would like block the door because remember, I was scared to stay in my room, so I was in their room a lot. You know, I was in their room a lot. So, and, you know, those arguments and stuff. He would block the door. And he would hold her down, you know, sometimes. Like, I don't even know, you know, why they would be arguing or anything like that. But, you know, he would hold her, you know, and I remember, you know, she would be like, you know, I got to pee or I got to use the bathroom, whatever. And I remember one time I guess he didn't believe her or whatever. So, you know, she peed on herself and, you know, she was mad. And he let her go, you know, of course. And, you know, she was mad, you know, so like he wasn't like abusive as far as like physically abusive, right, towards my mom. But he could have been emotionally abusive like that. I don't know. Like, I'm not aware because remember, you know, I'm worried about Braveheart or I'm worried about freaking what's up with the Dark Phoenix. You feel me? So like, like, yo, where the hell, where are the Silverhawks? Like, yo, they took the Silverhawks off? Like, yo, Silverhawks. Like, I'm just worried about that. So I don't really know if he was emotionally or, I can't really say he was verbal. But, you know, I don't know. I don't know if he was verbally abusive. Because my mom, she didn't, like, stay in the house a lot. You know, she was out, right? And we'll get to my mom's story as well, you know, but. So that was, you know, their interaction, you know, but yeah, he definitely like, yo, man, you know, he was a player. Like, he wasn't a Rolling Stone in a sense because he was always home, you know, like he was always home, just kind of looking at the time. So we're over 2 hours, but it's all good. You know, we're in there. We're talking about my dad, and maybe next week we'll do whatever our 45-minute intro and then do Dennis, right? But yeah, so, you know, he definitely had a lot of women, a lot of sitches, if you know what I mean. And I was there, like, yo, he would take me along for all of these adventures, right? And then we would like, yo, we had a lot of adventures like that, and you know, that's pretty much, like, I'm trying to think of any, like, I think, you know, that's him pretty much. Like, when he left, right, it was, I guess he had, you know, fallen in love with another woman or whatever. Like, it was some woman, but I want to say, you know, they could have had other issues. Like, yo, they could have, you know, been going through whatever type of problems they were going through. And, you know, like, oh, all right. Yeah, I kind of remember. So, I wanted a Super Nintendo, right? I wanted a Super Nintendo. And, you know, I was asking him, you know, can I, you know, get me a Super Nintendo, whatever. And he was like, I think he said, like, all right, you know, look, we're going to save up and, you know, I'm going to get it. Like, you know, it's going to take a minute, but, you know, eventually I'm going to get it. And yeah, it was cool. Like, yo, all right, you know, eventually we're going to get the Super Nintendo, right? So then we get up, I guess he's saving for, you know, however many weeks or, you know, months or however, like, yo, it got to take a year. We finally get to that point to where, okay, we're about to get the Super Nintendo. And then he was like, you know, something came up or whatever the story was, you know, something happened and he wasn't able to get the Super Nintendo. And that was cool. Like, yo, you know, look, man, you know, we'll get it. I mean, eventually, you feel me? Like, yo, I ain't have it this long. I mean, eventually we'll get the Super Nintendo. Like eventually we'll get it. So that wasn't a problem. That wasn't an issue. But I think after, maybe like a little bit after, I was kind of like, just, I don't know why I was on their little dresser drawer, right? Because at this point, where I'm okay with being in my room. Like we're in a different house, and I'm cool. I'm in my room. Like that's not a problem. And I was, for some reason I was in their room, and I want to say I saw a receipt or something. I saw something on the table, and it was like for a diamond ring. Right. So, which, all prices gotta be, what is it? Inflated or deflated because of inflation. Right. So $300 today is not the same as $300 back in the 90s, right? In the early 90s, right? Early to mid 90s. It's not the same. So, once I saw the receipt, and I thought I saw some other stuff that let me know that he had like a girlfriend that he was serious about. Because remember, I've been on different adventures with my dad where, he's messing with these sitches, but they weren't serious, right? Like, for years, like we was, I would say for years, like, I've been going out with them, probably 11 years, right? We talking years, a long time. There's a lot of sitches. And, so boom, he got this one. This is a new one, and he's like, he's pretty serious about this one, to the point to where I felt like he was putting her over me. I felt like he was putting her over me, and it was like, yo, man, what's up? Like, you feel me? Because he was so big on loyalty, but now, like, you putting her over me. But me looking back, I can understand that. Look, man. You got to get it in where you can get it in. You got to clap them cheeks, okay? So, like, look, little Bo, you'll be all right, man. Another month or two, man, we get that Super Nintendo, man, you're going to be all right, you feel me? But I really felt like, he was transitioning to leave because, he got this woman a ring. Like, I'm sure he was trying to marry her, right? Like, which he didn't, him and my mom wasn't married. But, I don't know. I doubt that it was because of him. I think that's just, I don't think my mom was really even like looking for that. That's not something that she was like wanted, I want to be married. And, so I think maybe that's why I never talked to her about it, just because my mother is real secretive, and you guys will learn that in whatever episode that we cover her. But they didn't get married, and I don't think it was because of him. I don't think it was because of him. I think he wanted to be married, but of course, look, man, he like his sitches though, so. Take it how you gotta take it. So if you're gonna marry him, just know, or look, somebody gonna know that it's some other side action happening. So I definitely felt, like I said, I felt like he chose her over us, but really over me, right? Like, and like I said, like, he really pushed loyalty. So now you're showing me inconsistency. So it's like, nah, man. So I can't use you as a beacon because you're flawed, right? You putting her over me. So we're out, like me and the homies. This is like during the time of the Onyx album, right? The first Onyx album. because my older brother, like he had it, so we would listen to it all the time. So I'm outside with the neighborhood gang. So the gang had changed, and I was there when it was the old gang. So of course I'm there for this new gang and this new transition. Like I'm there, so I got I got a couple hitters. So I remember my dad. He was like, it's time to come in the house or whatever. Go in the house, right? He didn't, I get it, man. You don't want your son around that type of activity because it only leads to, just prison, right? Whether it's going to be robbery or hurting somebody or drugs or, it's just not, man, you don't want your son around that type of stuff, right? And, wee hours at night, all right, if I'm with, my dad and, look, I'm not getting into any trouble. I mean, he's, getting in them cheeks, but I'm just, playing with my imagination. I'm just, it was just my imagination was running away with me, yeah. Right? So, but out with the little gangsters, like, yo, man, y'all listening to Onyx, like, oh my goodness, man. So, I remember him saying like, like it's time to go in or go in the house, whatever. And I was like, it was fresh off of that, he had picked, chose this woman over me. So I was like, nah, this is the first time that I rebelled, right? It's the first time that, that I rebelled against my dad, So he was like, what? I'm sure he was like, man, this little Gus smoking? You about to get beat down, right? So, he, came, he came over, but like I said, I had, a couple young lions with me who had already been in the system. Like, yo, these cats already been to prison, you feel me? Or jail, they already, been to jail, like, yo, juvie and stuff like that. So one of my friends at the time, as my dad was coming down, like to to get me or whatever, my friend at the time, he was like, yo, man, you want me to stab him? And I was like, yeah. So my dad gets down, and he's telling me, you better get your ass in the house and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I'm just mad. I'm like, man, you're not my father, and, I probably said it maybe a couple times or whatever. And, he just stopped and he looked, I could just see, like, man, ain't no love in the heart of the city. Do-do-do. Ain't no love in the heart of town. Do-do-do-do-do. Ain't no love in the heart of the city. Right? So he, collected himself. Like he didn't even keep engaging. He was like, all right, and then he went in the house, and I want to say, like, within a few days, like, yo, he was gone. He was gone. Like, yo, boom. That was it. Like, let's give it, like, yo, it wasn't even a week. Like, it was probably like just a few days. But remember what I told y'all. Like, he already, and this isn't like, this isn't saying that he was going to leave anyway, but he was going to leave anyway, right? Like he found this woman that he was getting serious with, and she was serious, and I'm sure that she wanted, more, and he wasn't getting that with my mom. So after me and him had that little spout, and wash the spider out. So, that was that. Like, so he was gone. You feel me? And then, I guess he moved in with the lady. And I remember what she looked like a little bit. Like, I think I could pick her out of a lineup of like, let's give it 6 people. And, but she's in there, right? Like I could do that. I could be like, oh, boom, there she is, right? So, she was all right. It wasn't, she wasn't bad on the eyes. She was all right. And I didn't see him for a while after that, right? So I think, boom, he moves in with her. And I don't think they got married. Though. They could have, but I don't think so. So, but he moves in with her. And then we got evicted, right? Because he's not there to help with the money, So, so then I want to say maybe like a few months later, we got evicted because so he wasn't there. So then a few months, I think the gas and electricity got cut off. So that got cut off, and then maybe a few months. So let's give it like 3 months after he leaves, the gas and electricity get cut off, and then maybe 3 or 4 or 5, who knows, might be 6 months. I mean, there's a process, so I could look and see what was the process, right? That a landlord has to go before the court and, whatever that process was, it just equaled up into my birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, get the hell up out your home, you are now homeless. Oh man. So, that's how it is sometimes, It's cold out here. So look, man, we got evicted. You feel me? And I didn't blame him. I didn't blame him. The reason why we got put out, I didn't blame him because, I was right at the point to where I didn't care about the Dark Phoenix no more, right? I was like right on the edge of really not caring about the Dark Phoenix. And, and at that time we, our neighborhood kingpin, he had started to take an interest in, everybody in the neighborhood. So, but once we got evicted, then... I told Dennis. So I already knew Dennis, previous, and we'll get into, to that, how it crosses over. We'll get into that, but later, we're going to wrap up now. But I already knew Dennis. So, I told him, and he was like, yo, man, you can move in with me for a little bit, until we kind of figure this thing out. So boom, we move in. I do, it's everybody dispersed, right? So I move in with Dennis. I think my mom, she was, and Dennis lives like right around the corner from my house, right? So all my stuff, like all of our belongings are out in front of the house, right? It's all in front of the house. I go around the corner. My mom goes down the street, just like on the same block, just a few houses down. With the lady, Miss Dusty, which was a good woman, good woman. She took my mom in, and I'm over with Dennis, so we're homeless, and then I run into my dad again, right, and then he because. Dennis gets into some stuff in the neighborhood, right? And of course, he's not going to tell me like, yo, this is what it is, because, we're coming from this age of secrecy. So, I'm hearing like, I'm hearing the remnants of it, but, or the remnants, revenants. I'm hearing the remnants of it, but it's not really, because I'm still like, yo, I got to figure out, like I'm about to start selling crack, like, like, yo, it's just no other way. You feel me? I'm out here, I'm homeless, my mom homeless, like, it's no other way. Like, yo, it's crack or nothing. And my homie Lucas, he was going through like the same thing. So we like, yo, man, this, like, yo, we got to sell crack. You feel me? So we got that, all of that going on. And like I said, the neighborhood kingpin, he's taking an interest in all of the guys in my neighborhood, right? So, but I'm not close to I'm not as close to his nephew as some of the other guys are. Like they're hanging around a lot, and I'm not, right? So I'm like, yo, nah, I need to, like, yo, man, I gotta hang around more. You feel me? Like, yo, I gotta get in, because y'all remember Earl from another previous story. Like, yo, he had already left, right? Because Earl would have put me on. I could have just started selling crack for Earl, but Earl was gone. Like, so, everybody gone, and it's like, look, and you got to do what you got to do. So, in that transition, in that period, that's when, I see my dad again, right? And, we hug it out, like, and I'm sure I said I was sorry, but I didn't tell him like, yo, I found the ring, and, I felt like, yo, you put her over me, and, this sitch, this big booty sitch, right? So I didn't tell him that. I don't remember if I did tell him, but, we was cool because that's my dad. So, all right, I'm mad at whatever moment, you know what I mean? But, I'm still my dad, and, I'm still his son. So once he heard that, we got put out, he was like, yo, you can stay with me. Right. So he moved around the corner, and he was living with this guy. They were roommates. So that woman, so this is probably like, I would say how much time passed between when he left into now was probably like maybe 8 months, or, about a year or whatever, so it could have been like a year. I think it was probably a year, that I didn't have, I didn't have my dad in the household. So, I go in and move in with him. And, look, it was cool. Like, I didn't have to, because, when you have friends, right? When you live with a friend, like, yo, there's a stipulation, right? Like, you can't really be yourself when you're around your friend, right? And you always gotta, like, yo, you always gotta worry, or it's just always something. You feel me? When you're talking about friends, but when it's family, like, yo, you can just be yourself, right? Like, if I'm, over my brothers, like, yo, I can just be myself, right? If I'm well over my dad's, like, yo, I can just be myself. I don't have to, worry about some type of stipulation or this or that. Like, yo, I can just be myself, right? So I'm over there with my dad, and, look, he's going to be himself. Like, yo, man, he's going to be himself. So, I definitely noticed his, I think he was either rubbing his nose more, or like just playing with his nose, right? So it didn't catch me before, right? So I've been around like crackheads and stuff like that. Like, I've been around like the bottom level crackheads, like, who used to beat them up all the time, right? So I knew them, but I didn't know like the working level crack and cokehead, because I was around them, but I didn't know it, right? So it was brought to my attention about a family member, like, yo, you feel me? And I was like, damn, I didn't even realize, right? So we was like, yo, remember that stuff we was playing? We was doing all that stuff. Like, yo, that was their crack pipe. You feel me? So, like, I was brought aware of it. I wasn't aware of it, right? So, but I was around functioning addicts, right? I was around functioning addicts, and So, I'm saying my dad, he kind of messing with his nose, like mainly like just like, either just messing with it, either picking it or just rubbing it, moving like in a little circular motion, like his nose was irritated. And his roommate, the way they had it, was like a loft. It was like a huge, on the floor type loft. So it was his roommate, but it wasn't like they had their own spot, like their own space, right? Like their own kitchen, their own, two bedroom, right? So they was like floor mates, they was like floor mates. But it was a one bedroom. It was huge though. That's the type of houses in Baltimore, like North Avenue. Those type of houses are huge. They're row houses, but they're like big. Remember I was telling you with my great grandmother, like she, we had an apartment just on the second floor, right? So it was something like that. But even, like I said, they were like floor mates. So his floor mate, I guess his floor mate was like, he was really trying to get high, and I was in the way of that, right? So, and then I caught him in another engagement that I'm not going to speak about, just because, I'm just like, nah, that's just, it wasn't nothing like jail worthy, you feel me? But just the people involved, I'm just not going to speak on that. Right, but I caught him in something with some people, and it's not smoking crack or shooting up, because I've caught like my aunts and stuff like that. So what I mean, like that doesn't affect me, but I definitely caught him in some activity that's like, and I think after that, you feel me? Because so now he like he can't snort, you feel me? Because I think he was snorting just by you messing with your nose. Like he could have been smoking coke or crack or I don't know, right? I don't know. But he couldn't snort it up, and he couldn't clap the cheeks the way he wanted to. So he calls my aunt and lets her know, yo man, your sister got evicted, and you feel me? So and little Bo, they just out here in the streets. So then I had to, this was, I was going to high school. This was, so, a good amount of time had transitioned, and I'm in school, and, I had to move, which it was like, he was like, yeah, man, you're going to be moving with your aunt, your aunt is going to take you and your mom, right? So, y'all can kind of get back together and stuff like that. So, I mean, that was, it wasn't on no, I think I was just a little mad, but not really, you know what I mean? Because even then I could understand, like, like, yo, you're still looking out for your family. You feel me? Like, in this situation. But I definitely could see that, like, he wasn't able to move the way that he was moving as far as his drug habit and use. And I don't think he wanted me to see him, like that. Because, like, I never saw him smoke. I never saw him drink. You feel me? Like, it was just certain things that I just never saw him do. Yeah, I saw him, clapping them cheeks. Remember, I couldn't tell my mom, don't tell nobody about that. So, that stuff, it was fine. He didn't care. Look, man, you gonna have to get in the cooch. So, remember, that wasn't his high frequency word. So, look, have at it. You feel me? So, look, this is how it's done. So, yeah, he was definitely, perverted, and just, he was about that, that life, that clapping them cheeks, right? So eventually, boom, we move in with my aunt, and boom, so that is going. But I think I ran into him maybe a year after that, so I didn't see him because I was, living on another side of town. So yeah, I didn't probably see him for like a year, 2 years, right? So then we finally see each other, and we embrace, and he's crying, and your boy Bo has been working, and you know what I mean? Like, but I'm still a kid. I'm still a teenager, probably about 17 or whatever. 17, 18, so I haven't seen him since, since I was 14, right? So I haven't seen him for a few years. And, he's glad to see me, and he like a little bruised up. I'm like, what the hell happened, right? So I think in that time, I did see that he married. So, maybe I saw him like once or just in passing, right? So, so I saw him, and, he was all bruised up, and he told me that, he got into some type of altercation, argument with his wife. And, the wife at this time, she kind of looked like my mom, like I could see, similarities between my mom and this woman, whereas the woman I can't say they left us, but, they left us for, she didn't look like my mom. She was like a totally different, right? So, this one that he marries, and he probably did marry that other woman too, but, I don't know. But yeah, so he married this woman, and he got into some type of altercation with her outside, and the neighborhood dudes beat him up. I'm like, what? Like they jumped him. So I'm like, nah. He's like, nah, don't worry about it. I'm all right. I'm like, nah, man. Like, so I think he, told me like where he moved to, and I went over there, and, I'm just like scouting out the neighborhood, like, yo, nah, man. But, I understood, like, they come into the defense of, of the woman, and you feel me? It's just like, yo, that's just hood politics. Like when you get into an argument with one, like you get into an argument with all 20 of them. You feel me? And once one of them start fighting, like, yo, they all gonna fight. And yeah, you could be winning against a few, whether it's 5, but like, yo, man, they gonna keep coming, and it just keeps building and escalating. Like, yo, you can get beat to death. You feel me? So, he didn't get beat to death. So that's the good part. And then eventually she died. She died from AIDS, I want to say. And I don't know he had to have told me because I don't think like any of my cousins would have told me. You feel me? So I think she died from AIDS. She died from HIV. And I'm like, yo, are you infected or what? And he was like, nah. So I guess she was shooting up. So they could have been shooting up, like, which, like, damn, man, And once I think, when I finally found him, whatever time after, they had already broken up, and his wife had died from AIDS or some type of complication of AIDS. Then he told me, that his heart was just bad. You feel me? Like, yo, he had a bad heart. And, like, yo, cocaine, like, yo, that's what cocaine will mess up your heart. You feel me? Like, I'm not really sure about heroin and stuff like that, but cocaine will mess your heart up. You feel me? So, so who knows what type of, concoction he was on. And this whole story, this whole 2 hours and almost 2 hours and 40 minutes. So in this whole 2 hours and 40 minutes, I didn't speak on my sister, which, I apologize. But, my sister developed a drug habit. And, so I'm, back once I reconnect, and he's letting me know all of this stuff. And he was like, she was blaming him. Well, she blamed me for, because she felt like, yo, she, that's her real father, and, he's over there with me, you feel me? And he should have been over with her, right? So, that created some issues, between the both of them. But, it worked like I think towards the end, they were rebuilding their relationship, and he was rebuilding a relationship with me, which it never really ended. It never was over. It was only, I only rebelled because, like I said, I just felt like he, was putting that big booty sitch over me. But I, it got over it, like, but we had kind of rekindled, and he was just letting me know that his heart was bad. And, he was just letting me know, like, yo, man, like, yo, I'm going to be dying soon, pretty much. And, I definitely took it hard. And, I remember when he was like, man, I didn't think he was going to take it this hard. Oh, so, I remember the whole thing, but, that makes me laugh every time, so even though, so even though, can cry from it, I can also laugh. He's like, man, I didn't think he was going to take it that hard, man. Like, yeah. So, I think, I went on about living probably 2 more years, and then I went to go let him know that that I got into college, right? So I got into West Virginia State University, but no, it was West Virginia State College, but I didn't know what college it was, right? So this is probably like two years later, right? I didn't know. It could have even been, yeah. I think it was like a year or 2 years later, So it was probably like a year. It was like a year because it was that holiday, right? So I remember just like crying. It was like maybe in April or May or whatever. Like I don't even remember what month, but I remember crying and feeling like, yo, like I'm like, why am I crying? You feel me? Like it was like just great sadness just came over me. You feel me? This is just like I'm just walking down the street and then I just start crying. But I didn't know why. Like I didn't know why. And I was thinking like, yo, what the hell? Why the hell am I crying? Like I don't have nothing to cry about. You feel me? I don't have no reason to cry. And then so Christmas comes, so I get into school. It's like August when I get into West Virginia State, and I remember I told my cousin, he was like, "Oh, which West Virginia, which West Virginia college you go to?" I was like, "Yo, I don't know." He was like, "Yo, is it gold?" I was like, "Yeah, it's gold." He was like, "Yo, is it blue?" I was like, it might be gold and blue." And so then, for like a hot second, I thought I went to West Virginia University, right? But I went to West Virginia State College. Eventually, it became West Virginia University, right? So, which I didn't even know anything about WVU, like, because I didn't play football. So, like none of that stuff meant anything to me. It was just my cousin trying to figure out where I was, So yeah, for like a minute, for like 2 days or a night, because I'm talking to him at night. So like for a few hours until the morning, I was like, my cousin thought I was at WVU, right? So college, let's see, Christmas break comes, I go home, I'm over my cousins, and then I'm trying to, reach out, get in touch with my dad, let him know I'm in college. And from the last time I saw him, he gave me his sister's number. Like, yo, just get in touch with her. She'll be able to get you in touch with me. So I have her number. I'm calling her to let her know. And I think, I was like, hey, this is Bo. It's like, oh, hey. I was like, yeah, I got into college, and she was like, oh, yeah. I was like, yeah, where's my dad? I want to let him know. And then, she gave me the news, so, and the crazy thing is, like, I didn't even cry at that moment. I just told my cousin, so I told my cousin, like my cousin Al and his brother, the one that I cried over, cried over her. Look, man, I'm a sitch. I ain't even worried about it. You feel me? Your boy's a little sitch and I like it. I'm just a sitch and I like it. Want to see me cry over cinnamon, right? So, so I didn't even cry like when she told me, but we was laying. I told my cousin. I told his mom is there, and like yo, they taking it hard. You feel me? And then even like my homies now and their parents, like yo, like they took it hard. And then that night, I'm laying down, I'm sleeping. I'm over at my cousin's house, and I'm, sleeping, and that's when, that's when it really hit me, and I'm just, crying. So, it wasn't even like a a hard cry. It's just, you just keep it in, let the tears flow, and so. So yeah, that was that. Like I said, I definitely missed a lot. I missed a lot in this story, but that was like the overall general thing. Of that was my dad. Like I say, he was definitely perverted. Like there was a scandal. It was like a fifth grader. This is when I was in. I've told this before. I was like maybe like between the first or third grade, and some girl said that. He said like something along, your breasts are growing, or you feel me, like, which he didn't use that word, like he was titties, ass, and pussy, and stuff like that. He was vulgar, but he didn't like cuss. He cussed, but it wasn't a lot. You feel me? Like it wasn't like I cuss more than I remember him cussing, but he definitely said something inappropriate, right? And she took it that way. Like, I don't think he tried to touch her or he did anything like that. But, just saying stuff like that. And he's working in the school system at this time. So, just saying something like that, like back then, even now, like, yo, it's just inappropriate. Right. So you just can't say stuff like that. Right. So whatever it was, like, even if it was, like, oh, you looking real beautiful, right? And licking your lips, like, as you can't do that to a 10-year-old girl. You feel me? So, like, I'm not saying that that's what he did, but, whatever he did, like, yo, she took it in whatever way, like, whatever, she was using her power. Like, yo, he ain't say nothing. He could have just said, hey, how you doing? But, maybe her mom or her peoples didn't like him, and they was, look. Say you felt offended. Like, I don't know. You feel me? Like, whatever the truth is, I don't know what the truth is. But I do know that he got fired and he couldn't work in the school system no more. You feel me? So he didn't get charged or anything like that. So, it wasn't that serious in a sense. Like, he didn't rape nobody, any minors that I'm aware of that anybody came forth. Right? He didn't do any of that. But, he definitely, said something that cost him his job. And I remember he was working at the hospital, and he gave some white woman a picture of him with the shirt off, right? So, he got fired from that. So, so he was definitely, and like I said, y'all know, I've been on several adventures with him and different women. So he definitely loved the ladies. Okay, he definitely loved the ladies. And, that's just, look, he was a pervert. He would say any type of sexual thing, like, yo, he loved women. You feel me? He loved their bodies. I remember he had like this Smurf porn. I'm like 5, between, I would say like 5 to 8. You feel me? Like I'm not 10 years old. Like I seen this way before the 5th grade, you know. But he had like this Smurf porn or Cinderella, like the Cinderella and not Cinderella, but Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. Like he had like that type of porn, and I remember my brother watching it, you know, and that's when I saw it. I was like, you know, I didn't even know what to do with it. You feel me? I probably got an erection, but I ain't know, like, yo, you just, you know, keep going back like you cocking a gun, right? Well, back then we just had the 6-shooter, so, you know, it wasn't even nothing cocking back or, you know, like, I didn't know anything about that, right? So, but I remember seeing, you know, I remember like my brother watching that porn, right? Which he got it, you know, from my dad. Like he, you know, was exposed to it from him, right? And I remember my dad he probably showed somebody else that wasn't, you know, like family, right? So yeah, he was definitely inappropriate, you feel me? And he was definitely a pervert, so, you know. But you know, but look, he was still a good person, you know. He's still, like I said, it's two sides to the coin, and you know, he definitely had a lot of good in his life, and he had a lot of questionable things as well. You feel me? That if he was still alive, I would be like, yo, man, what the hell was up with that, man? Come on, dog, you out here free balling right now, okay? You out here with raw dog in this, man. What in the world was you thinking, right? So, so you know, I would definitely question him on that type of stuff too. But like I said, I mean, look, he was still a good person, you know, and he definitely left his mark on the community, and I think in a positive. He left a positive mark on the community, you know, and you know, for that 10-year-old girl, I mean, I'm sure, you know, she probably still has nightmares. Oh, but Reese's the itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain. And the itsy bitsy spider went up the spout again.